Alrighty, guys, welcome to our week 10 study hall. For those of you that are here, hello again. It's still us, but this week we are talking about Japan, and let's continue on here. So Japan is very regional, as we said. First and foremost, it's super seasonal, but also very regional. Japan is a very interesting region where some places it snows, other places it's super hot. So like every other country and region that we've been to, we can spend a whole 12 weeks on the culture, the food, everything that goes on with them. Unfortunately, we only have about an hour and change for this, so we have to kind of word vomit as quickly as we can. But let's continue on with this here. So it doesn't look like there was any questions in terms of what we had going on there. So when we talk about Japan and its regionality, we have Hokkaido. Let me actually bring up the map. Where'd you guys go? There you are. So we have the Hokkaido region, which is way up here. So it's super, super north up, right? This is Japan's northernmost island. It's known for a variety of fresh seafood. You're going to see they have very, very cold waters up here in this region. It does snow. Things you're going to see here very often. Uni, which is sea urchin roe. Ika, which is squid. So when you go to your when you go to a sushi bar or something, I want to throw these names out at you. So when you see them on the, you're like, hey, I remember that word. That means squid. Kani, which means crab, ikura, which means salmon roe, hotate means scallops. In this region here, if you're anything like me, is home to Sapporo, which is a wonderful beer. This beer actually ended up becoming very, very popular in 1972 due to the Olympics that were over there. So it kind of became sought out after for the rest of the world because they saw it there. People went to visit. This was one of the regions where the Olympics were held, and people were just drinking this. And when they went back home, they're like, hey, I want some of that beer that I had in Japan. And you can see right over here is the little city of Sapporo. So this region is also known for its ramen. Remember, it's a very, very cold region. So what are they going to be eating? Soup. So a lot of miso ramen up in here. It actually has two alleys that are just nothing but ramen shops. So you kind of go through and it's just ramen, 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 ramen everywhere. So it's one of those pick your best spot and go straight to it. What is miso? Miso is fermented soybean. Let me see if I can bring up a picture of it real quick. So it looks like this. This is a miso paste. And you'll see right here, there's a couple of different colors here. There's this lighter one, which is very white, and then there's this dark one. So the longer you let this ferment.
Hey, Jeff, we can't. Oh, okay. It's coming in. We couldn't see.
Oh, okay. So you'll see right over here now in this corner, this one's very light in terms of color. So this one is just barely beginning to get through that fermentation process. The deeper red and more dark and intense the color gets, the more strong that umami flavor is going to be, but also the more you're going to get that kind of fermentation flavor as well. So what it does, it's just kind of, it's an umami bomb for these soups. So you'll see it right here. If you ever go to a sushi place, a lot of times, depending, they'll bring this to you at the beginning, but usually you're going to see that it's a way to end your meal. And it's just kind of goes into soups. You'll see it in all kinds of different things. So you'll see it in ramen, just the soup by itself like this. You can kind of see the difference in the color here. So this one's very light. This one's a little bit darker, so it's a little bit more fermented. Yeah, so that's kind of what miso is. So back to Hokkaido. Hokkaido actually produces 60% of all dairy products in Japan. So more than half of the dairy that goes to the rest of Japan is coming from this small region up here. It's super great for farming melons, corn, onions, a lot of potatoes in this region. You have something called a salmon hot pot, which is a very popular dish here. And again, hot pot, miso soups, miso ramens, very hot things because of the cold climate here. So this is made with chunks of salmon, vegetables, tofu. There's also a barbecue lamb dish called Genghis Khan in this region. As you guys know, Genghis Khan was somebody that conquered pretty much the whole Asian world and left an influence in it. There's another thing that they have here called konnyaku jellies. What they are is they are just this wobbly vegan treat that is made from the starchy root of the konjac plant. So it's very similar to like a yam. It's a tuber, also called the devil's tongue, not to be confused with the devil's lettuce. Voodoo lily, snake palm, or elephant yam. And when, basically, when flavored with this with seaweed and some sugar, konyaku plays a huge role in Japanese hot pots and odin. It has been cultivated for more than 400 years, and it's great for diabetics as it doesn't actually spike up your sugar level. So it adds a nice sweetness to it, but it doesn't shoot up that sugar for you. When we move a little bit further south, we do have what are called the Shikoku Islands. And what these guys are is down over here, right here. You have the Shikoku Islands. So this is the smallest of Japan's 4 major regions or major islands. There are hundreds of islands here, but they kind of divide it up into these smaller regions. Southwest of Japan's main island, which is Honshu. This area is known for those bonito, or that skipjack tuna that we talked about, which is a medium-sized fish, which is prepared in a number of different ways on the island. You'll see that they're known for locally made udon noodles, which are wheat noodles. So we did talk about buckwheat noodles, but now we have the udon, which are a bit of a thicker noodle. Again, another delicious thing that goes into soups. You can see that you'll see that they stir fry with them as well. Just infinite applications for these, but a little bit of a thicker noodle than what you're used to seeing with the traditional ramen. I would urge you guys to try a udon soup one day. It's so good. The texture of those noodles is just amazing. Just beautiful, beautiful stuff. And you'll see that this comes from this region here. Chuba and Taki are the next islands that we're going to talk about. Let me go back to the map over here, which are, where did they go? I lost them. Are they not on here? Anyways, so this area is located between Osaka and Tokyo. So here is Tokyo. Yeah. Okay, so here they have a dish that is called hoto, which is similar to udon. So it's another soup dish. This area is also known for its eel or unagi, and the miso katsu, which is the deep fried pork cutlet served with the miso-based sauce. So very similar to what we're doing this week. There's also popular soup served with wild duck and vegetables. You're going to see a lot of soups in Japan. Sake is renowned in this region. They do use a specific rice called koshihakari rice, and it produces some of the best sake in just the whole country. So this is one of those that you would serve cold. Okinawa, which is located between Japan's main islands and Taiwan. Here, the people of this region, we did talk about India and how India has very, very long, the people in India have a very long lifespan. And they're only actually beat out by one group of people, which is the people that live right here in Okinawa. The people of this region enjoy the longest lifespan, which basically means that they're less likely to suffer from chronic diseases due to aging. And it's believed that the reason for that to their health is actually linked to their diet. So one thing that you're going to see in their diet is this guy here, which is called a bitter melon. It's called the Goya champuru. And usually they'll eat it in stir fries with egg, tofu, vegetables, pork, all kinds of different applications. But this is what it looks like here. It looks a little bit weird. But this is what people attribute to them having such a long lifespan. Here we can see it inside of a dish over here, mixed in with some egg and some tofu, like we just stated. And then the final region that we'll talk about is the Kansai region. So this region surrounds historical Kyoto and cosmopolitan Osaka. So it's right over here. It's this island there. And what you're going to see here is that their specialty is actually tofu. Tofu is massive here. Another thing that they have is octopus dumplings, which are known as takoyaki. It's an all-time favorite in Osaka. Let me actually bring up a picture of it. It's right over here. This is what it looks like, and it's super, super delicious. Think of it as like an octopus pancake. Something different here is also a dish called funa sushi, which is made from pickling mature carp. So this process takes up to 6 months to make. So already I'm out. Think of it texture-wise as being very similar to that of cheese. So you can imagine it's kind of like a fishy cheese. And I do have a picture of it for you guys. This is it right over here. Anybody dig in? Yeah, so this is a carp that has been pretty much fermented for up to 6 months, if not longer. And you just go ahead and eat it like that. I'm sure it's a massive umami bomb as well, but just that strong flavor profile is not going to be for me. I will shy away from that. Now, we do have something that we have kind of skipped over, which is going to be right over here. Japanese knives. Does anybody know why the Japanese are so prevalent for their super, super sharp knives? Alicia, you unmuted yourself?
Vladimir said samurai.
Oh, yep.
Because what they made from.
Yeah, so if you think about Japan, their main warriors or whatever it was back in the day was actually the samurai. So eventually, samurai swords became outlawed in Japan. So they were unable to make anymore. So what did those people start doing? They started making kitchen knives, or just knives in general, smaller knives as opposed to the. So they took the technology or the knowledge that they had in making these beautiful samurai swords that would not break when going into battle, just reforging the steel over and over again, folding it. And that's kind of what you get with these guys here. This is metal or steel that has just been folded and folded and folded and folded over and over and over again and pounded down to become this just super, super dense, beautiful metal that just sharpens up nicely. Those guys ended up actually just becoming knife makers. And they've taken all of that knowledge and transferred it into what are kitchen knives now. I actually have a giant Japanese knife on my forearm over here. Vladimir, I'll own a set one day once I hit the lottery. You don't actually need this many knives, guys. Really, you can make it with a paring knife, a chef knife, and a good bread knife, just in case you ever have to cut bread. And then a boning knife if you get into just cutting any type of fish or anything like that. You don't need all this stuff here. I was like that initially as well. When I started culinary school, I wanted every single type of knife, but then I realized that they just kind of sat around. And yeah, Japanese knives are typically going to be very expensive. You'll see some of them going for up to like $400, if not more. Just depends on the brand and stuff, but yeah, Chef, anything to add?
Let's see. You covered some of my favorite foods, especially when you hit into that takoyaki. And there was one other thing that I'm not sure that if we talked about, but let me check. Did you talk about the raw horse meat?
I did not.
Okay. I'm blanking on the name of this, but let me just, from a specific region. Let me just try and, it's a delicacy in Japan. And let me just find that region. Yes, it's called basashi. And this is raw horse meat, sashimi. Let me see if I can find exactly where it is, but it is called Bayashi Kyushu, and it is from basically, it's just really thinly sliced. I've got a picture of it here. It's essentially like carpaccio, right? When we think about carpaccio, thinly sliced raw meat, it's just a different animal. And so this is a sought after dish, and it is essentially carpaccio of raw horse meat. And pretty interesting. Yes, it's from the Western prefecture called Kyushu. And that's where it comes from. So as you can see, that's pretty interesting. Of course, like always, tons of history within Japanese culture and where that it's coming from. But oftentimes served, this is a shisho. I'm like shisho, a shiso leaf, which is traditionally accompanied with your sushi as well. Which has a really nice flavor. You're going to start seeing that in more dishes as well. And they're totally edible. When they're placed on your sushi plate, it doesn't mean that you're not supposed to eat it. It's cleansing and has a really clean place as well. So if you ever get some shisho on your sushi plate, be sure to eat it. And then the only other thing that I was going to talk about, Chef, unless you were going to, would be a little bit about wasabi.
Go for it.
All righty. So does anybody know what wasabi is? What does it look like? What does it taste like?
Green and spicy.
Green and spicy.
Very,
All right.
very spicy.
Very what?
Very spicy.
Spicy. Very
Yeah,
spicy.
very spicy, green. And Stevens and somebody else,
Close.
similar to horseradish, right? If you ever had horseradish, right? You know that all of a sudden your entire nasal cavity has just been cleaned out. So what most people don't know, especially when we're not from Japan, that wasabi does not come in a tube and comes out in a perfect color green, and it has this paste-like consistency. This is actually what wasabi looks like, and you have an actual wasabi grater to get beautifully fresh wasabi. At the best sushi restaurants, in the world, you're going to have that freshly grated wasabi. So this is what it looks like. As you can see, it is a root. You can use this cool little sushi grater that has all these ridges, and then you just grind that out, and that is fresh wasabi. So get ready for a real zinger. If you've ever had fresh horseradish, very similar, right? Slightly different notes that you're going to hit. Wasabi is a bit more herbaceous, and horseradish is just a bit more, I guess, slightly bit more earthy. But really beautiful, very expensive as well. It's really hard to get. You're not going to find that unless you're at a really upscale Japanese restaurant. Most of the stuff that you'll find is a powdered version that's been mixed and then rehydrated with water. But the fresh is obviously the best. Let's see. Yes, I have a recommendation, 2 recommendations. Now, I am not a documentary. No, I'm a documentary person. I am not a movie person. However, if you want a great movie, what you're going to want to check out is it's on Netflix, and this gentleman, it's going to give you kind of an insight into it's called Jiro's Dream. Dream Sushi.
Chef, I have the trailer up. Actually, I was going to show it right now.
Oh my God. Yes. This guy, you guys need to see this because this is incredible. And then I'll tell you guys my last weirdo little documentary to watch too.
All right, sound good?
今仕事しててこの年になって完璧だとは思っていないからね。
親父さんまだ悔いがあるったらおかしいよ。で、せがれがかわいそうだから早く譲ってあげてって。
ずっと親父さんがやっていければそれでいいんですけれども、そうはいかないですから、いつかは交代しなきゃいけないですから。
そこまで頂上まで行けば完璧かもわかんないけど、じゃあこの頂上はどこかっていうとわかんないわけですよ。
抜いてやっと並んだ。そのぐらいやっぱり親父の影響ってそんなもん。
これが夢だったっていうのがありますよ。これやったらいいかなって夢でしょあれ。やるってことは非常にいいことじゃないかなと思います。
父はもう二郎さんと亡霊がもうそこら中にあるから。
好きにならなきゃダメですよ。それ自分の仕事に惚れなきゃダメなんですよ。
Excellent. Definitely check this one out, class. It shows you what it takes, the dedication, the craftsmanship. As you can see, you'll learn about what his son could and could not touch, and when he got privileges to even touch certain things, along with the apprenticeship, and really understand what a craft and passion it is to be a sushi master, and how seriously they take cuisine and food in Japanese culture as well. I highly suggest watching that this weekend. And I have one more, which is a little bit strange. However, it's food related. So I'm just going to show you this. This is called Midnight Diner, the Tokyo Stories. They only ran 2 seasons of it at Climax, but I'm just going to show you because it is about a guy. It kind of brings home the idea of what culture, right, can be like in Japan. So for me, I thought that was really interesting because it gave me an insight of something that I really didn't know much about. And it is the story of a guy who has a little spot here. And let's just check this out.
お待ち、お待ち、お待ち。人々が家路へと急ぐ頃、俺の一日は始まる。
タンメン、麺抜きね。
はい、お待ち。麺抜き。
いただきます。このお店は食べたいもの言えば何でも作ってくれるから好きなもの言って。
営業時間は夜12時から朝7時頃まで。人は深夜食堂って言ってるよ。いらっしゃい。
はらはらと。私ね、ようやく誰にでも胸張って言えるくらい今の仕事気に入ってるの。分か
ってるよ。ガキ連れてこんな暮らしは続かねえってことぐらい。師匠の女寝とる弟子がどこにいるんだよ。
All right, we'll stop there. But it's very interesting because this guy opens up his diner from midnight to 7 a.m. and you walk in and you get to decide whatever you want. So as long as he's got the ingredients on hand, he's cooking it. Obviously, the food and the location is the central theme. It's not all about food, but you get to see all of these really cool dishes that I was introduced to and started doing some more research on, thinking, okay, well, what's this? What is this one? This comfort food that they're requesting, right? So for me, that was kind of interesting. Like I said, it's only about, I think they only lasted 2 series on Netflix. Not even sure if it's even on there anymore. But Japanese culture, cuisine is just so unique. And there's so much to do with, as Chef Jerry said, the seasons, right? Seasonality, freshness, high quality. It's what it's all about. And then the care and precision and love that you put into your craft. That's pretty much all I've got, Chef, other than now I'm craving sushi and tarikatsudan and takoyaki and some soba noodles. What about you guys?
Same here. I was thinking, should I go get sushi right now? Like, that's literally what's on my mind.
All right, so everybody order some sushi, put sushi, Jiro Dreams of Sushi on. No, I'm serious, guys. Order up a bunch of sushi, put Jiro Dreams of Sushi on, have some fun, relax, and let's rock out this week 10. It's not a ton of cooking. This is going to be fairly simple and easy to execute. So don't get overwhelmed. The ingredient list can sound foreign, but there's only a few that are going to be a little bit difficult to search out. Highly suggest going to an Asian ethnic store or the Asian ethnic section of your grocery store to hit those, excuse me, products such as mirin or your nori if you cannot find them at your regular grocery store. Any other questions? And Chef Jerry, any other last comments?
Just one thing to add. There's actually only one substitution that sushi chefs allow you to make while you're in Japan, and they do actually have a sign up for it. And it says no wasabi. So other than that, you're not allowed to make any substitution to anything that you're served over there. They usually have a small sign up for foreigners and stuff to point to it and just say, no wasabi on my sushi, please. And the sushi chef will not get offended by that or anything like that. But if you tell them, can you add this? They'll kick you out.
They know what they're doing. Don't mess around. I love it.
That's it.
All right, class. Take care. See you next week and enjoy.
Good night, Chef.
Have a good one, guys.
All right.